Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Esports Weekly Live. Once again, Adanas joined by Fdot and Hinduman, guys. And this is basically going to be your place to come every week on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern to get your predictions right. Or wrong if you follow me, because I'm always wrong. It's actually pretty bad.
But it's Wednesdays now. We did the show last split on Friday, but this time around we're going to get in front of the action. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are the games, so we'll show up every Wednesday.
Yeah, guys. So make sure though, if you're looking at if you've signed up for Alpha Draft or if you're looking to get involved in it, be sure it's going to be alphadraft.com. It's your chance to win some real money, and maybe if you listen to us, you could do that.
No, don't listen to me now. Like I was after a yacht, and if you remember what happened last week, I went for all Dignitas on Sunday.
Yeah, that didn't
Good job, MiraDons.
Work out
Good
so
job.
hot for you. Did it?
Thanks.
I mean, y'all can listen to me.
All right, guys. It's week 2, though, of the Smite Pro League. Let's take a look at the North American standings real quick and see where we sit at the top.
Yeah, so we've got a number of different teams playing in the North American scene, and right up there on top after just 1 week of play, you've got Eager, Enemy, and AFK Gaming. Enemy in a different spot than we're accustomed to seeing them last split. Different team, and Enemy wound up being on the bottom most of the time. New team this time around, maybe a different future as they won their first 2 games. COG, Cloud9, and Team Elevate on the bottom. And again, Cloud9, that's different.
You can't expect to see Cloud9 stay there for too long. That was after just a 1 weekend.
And it was against AFK, to be fair.
It was against AFK, however, but I don't think we'll see that happen again.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at the top of Europe, though, and see who is leading the charge over there.
Over in Europe, as he said, Epsilon Esports, top of the shop alongside London Conspiracy and the MiraDons, the newest addition to Europe. Down at the bottom end, you can see the midway tie between Fnatic and Titan after the very, very first week over in Germany. And then it's Team Dignitas, Paradigm, and Team Justice. 0 and 2s for all of those.
Yeah, it's all week 1, though. I figure about week 3 or 4 is when we're really going to start to see the teams defined. Right. Speaking of that, though, let's take a look at the week 2 schedule. And for those who don't know, we've actually moved our broadcast to be 4 days of the week. So we're going to be bringing you action every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. First up is going to be Titan versus Dignitas, AFK versus Enemy on Thursday. Some other highlight matches that we're going to be seeing during this week, though, is taking a look at August 22nd. That's going to be Saturday, Fnatic versus Epsilon. Huge match, and later it's going to be C9 versus Denial.
Sunday, though, don't forget that one, because that's going to be Eager versus TSM. TSM didn't look great this past week. Eager, though, they're not looking too bad.
I mean, you guys are picking the big headline guys, and I appreciate that. Enemy versus Elevate. These are the new faces,
it's the rookies.
New blood. It's the rookie rumble in that one. I'm excited to watch that.
All right, Rookie Rumble. I'm gonna hashtag that when we get ready to go live. Taking a look at Titan versus Dignitas first, though, and you know, hi-rez moving to Dignitas was kind of a big key for them. They lost Youngbay at the end of the split. He actually left the team, and they're able to grab hi-rez from now Justice, formerly, I can't even think of what they're called. Upcoming Stars. Thank you very much.
Right. I mean, he was alongside them. He moved at the final. So he played 1 week in the final of last split for Dignitas, and now he's on the roster with Dignitas fully on for the whole season. Start of this season, though, didn't go too well for them because MiraDons came out and shone. This time, though, he's going to have to perform a lot better than what the team did as a whole. But Renz should be a big backbone to making that happen.
I'm with you. I think he's going to be a great backbone. I have faith in him. I like what I see in-game from hi-rez, as well as out of game. He's doing what he can to sort of promote his brand and the brand of his team. Make sure you catch him on his stream, twitch.tv/hi-rez with 2 S's. He makes a lot of work. You can see it right there in the lower third. He streams almost every day, and it's a good entertainment. So make sure to check out show some love to some of your European streamers.
Yeah, hi-rez definitely going to be a big part of Dignitas moving forward. They had that rough week 1, though, but I mean, it looks like they're going to have a pretty rough week 2 as well. They're facing against Titan, who traded out with Fnatic in the first match to open the fall split. And Titan, they are just too good to drop a game to Dignitas, sure. I think. I 2-0'd this one in favor of Titan.
I agree. I don't think there's much conversation there. It's Titan down the line. 2-0, Dignitas just needs a little bit more work.
They're going to have to perform better than they did to get anywhere close after that first week of performance from Dignitas. But Titan, they don't look weak at the moment. We'll see how this goes. It's going to be like we said, hi-rez versus Comfrey in that match. I expect. We'll see how it goes.
It's going to be pretty good. Next up on Thursday, though, it's going to be AFK taking on Enemy. AFK getting off to a strong start, 2-0ing the other top, really, North American team in Cloud9. And this is just a 2-0 for AFK, in my opinion.
I mean, same thing for me. Not really much analysis to be done. Enemy, new blood on the block, AFK. They won the summer split. AFK 2-0.
I mean, new blood on the block, yeah, they are. However, I think AFK will take this one. Enemy couple more weeks down the road, maybe they could look at taking a game off the big boys from North America, but it's just too early, I feel, for it to go anywhere against AFK.
Yep. Next up, though, we're going to be moving on to the Friday matches, and that's going to be London Conspiracy versus MiraDons, and two teams that really surprised me. London Conspiracy came out strong, and, you know, they're going to be facing up against MiraDons, though, the fresh team on the block. Not full 5 newcomers, but Mogao actually having a huge week 1 and actually earning MVP for the whole European region in his first SPL debut.
Mogao's been around in Europe for a very long time. You can see him on screen during this Chang'e game. He performed fantastically from the solo lane last week. I expect to see more of it this week in the MiraDons. For them to get anywhere this season, they're going to have to rely on people like him to do that.
Yeah, and one thing too is everyone was talking about ban Hades away from Mogao, and we actually saw him go an insane, I think, 9-1-8 in game 1. And everyone's like, okay, he only has a Hades. But then taking a look at game 2, he played Chang'e, and it was phenomenal. I mean, he had so many Blink Waxing Moon initiates that it really caught the opponents off guard.
That's what I really like. Taking the Hades off the board, it really disrupts your whole pick ban phase, and he follows it up with another non-traditional god in Chang'e.
Yes.
So that I really like what we see out of that. I want to see a little bit more, but I think that Mogao is going to be a huge catalyst.
You know, London Conspiracy looked very strong, though, with their new roster, and I actually gave this one a 1-1 split. I think it's up to MiraDons to step up to London Conspiracy's level, though.
For me, again, second week in a row, faith in the French. I think MiraDons is a very strong team. I think they're stronger than a lot of people are giving them credit. Just because they're new on the block doesn't mean that they're not as strong. I expect them to 2-0 London Conspiracy.
But London Conspiracy for me this week, I'm going to give it the split because I don't expect them to underestimate MiraDons. I feel Dignitas kind of did last week, and that's why it hurt them a little bit. This time round, Zashu in the solo lane for London Conspiracy, Soggy Sandal in the jungle. It's going to be a 50-50.
Okay. Moving forward onto the second game on Friday, it's going to be Eager versus Cognitive, and it's going to be our second showing of Omega in that new solo lane role for Eager, but maybe still yet to face any top-level competition, really.
Yeah, he does maybe needs a little bit time to warm up, but I think one of the things that really works to the advantage is just how plug-and-play this player is. As you guys know, I do a podcast on every Tuesday with Coach Kret, the coach of Eager. So, a little bit of insight. But basically, Omega and Toli have a very similar play style. So you're replacing a thick, chunky bruiser of Anatoly with a world champion, thick, chunky bruiser in Omega. That's really plug and play. And as far as the outside of the line stuff, how is the attitude of Omega? Everybody thinks of Omega as this really rambunctious, character. From Kret, from the coach of the team, he's actually, Omega winds up being the cheerleader. He's the voice of reason saying, calm down, guys, we can do this, give it a couple more times, let me come into the game.
Yeah, maybe against opponents, he's that really BM guy, but for the team, he's the one keeping them alive.
For the team, he works as a teammate. He's not against his team in any way, shape, or form. Maybe behind the scenes if things don't go well, but that's just being part of a team. But when they're in the game, he's always part of the team. Maybe people just judge him differently than they should.
Yeah, taking a look at this, though, I gave this one 2-0 Eager. Omega too strong across the board, and Eager as a whole too strong across the board. Cognitive, they're a team that looks very strong on paper, but we haven't always seen these strong on paper teams translate to being strong in the game.
Right, I'm a little bit worried about Cognitive game. Well, I'm not worried. I'm cautious about Cognitive gaming.
I think it's a good word.
Because we saw that last split with the Night's Watch. I mean, everybody on that squad was scary. They traded Game Hunter for NQ or vice versa.
Yeah.
And that's scary. And it just didn't pan out. Cognitive gaming can avoid that, but could also fall victim to it. So we'll see. This split, though, or this match, Eager for sure.
Eager's established. They've been around a while now. They know their game plan. Maybe they've switched Omega in, but you said it's the same thing. Eager going to win this one. The boys are Cognitive later on in the season. Yeah, if they can get their act together, they could put on a potential scary show for a late run.
Moving on to our Saturday games, though, this is going to be the highlight for all the European games. I think Fnatic versus Epsilon. Epsilon having a very strong showing, actually 2-0ing Paradigm, who were the second-place team at the Summer Finals. Epsilon not even qualifying for that LAN and really adapting, continuing to lead the charge for this team.
I think the biggest issue over in EU especially is the fact that all the top teams will take games off each other. The top four will just switch and change around all the time. And adapting for him and his team to really get going this season, they need to rely on him to keep this consistency that he showed up against Paradigm.
I expect Adapting to keep doing what he's doing. He's just such a strong player and really drives this team. When Raffer was banned, it was a problem, but adapting continued ongoing.
Exactly. Even when he was banned, we still looked at adapting, and they still showed signs of life in that
Right.
roster, even though they lost their main support and, to an extent, their shot caller. They lost him. Adapting still kept that team going. Just, not enough to get them to
Yeah,
to
adapting.
LAN.
I mean, they didn't even qualify for LAN, and adapting was only a couple votes
was real
below
close.
Reels
Oh, yeah.
for European MVP. I mean, that's how much respect that not only his team gives him, but everyone, all the viewers as a whole, really respect him coming out there. I do want to say, though, I think if Epsilon managed 2-0 here, I gave it a split. I gave this a split. I think it's too much to say Fnatic's going to get 2-0'd. I don't think we've seen that in a very long time. But if Epsilon does manage to 2-0, are we ready to label them as the best team in Europe? I am. I am.
I'm on board. I have Fnatic taking this 2-0.
Okay.
I think that Fnatic is a strong team. I'm looking with a very hard microscope at Captain Twig. I think that all of the supporting cast is there. Captain Twig has had some problems in recent past. If Captain Twig can step it up, I think Fnatic is empirically the best team in Europe.
Fnatic has two of the best mids in Europe.
Technically right.
I mean,
technically right.
you're kind of right. But with Captain Twig in the jungle, he's a big question mark for me, unfortunately, for the squad. If Captain Twig does what he has to, I have Fnatic taking this 2-0.
Okay.
But I could easily see you guys being correct with your split.
I find
Epsilon
my
looks
split's
strong.
my split's going to be this way just because I expect the top 4 teams, like I said, to constantly take games off each other. When you actually look through these games, expect me to see me say split for most of those top 4 until I see someone establish themselves as a clear front runner.
Okay, taking a look, though, at the next game on Saturday. It's going to be Dignitas versus Justice. We're going from Fnatic versus Epsilon to Dignitas versus Justice. Justice not having a very good start to their split. They've been the 8th seed or the bottom seed for really the past 2 splits. They really need something to get going here. I give this one a split, though. I think their roster has improved, and they're going to be looking stronger. They had a rough week 1 against London Conspiracy. I think, though, this is going to be a split down the board.
I'll agree with that one. I think that these teams are very equally skilled. Dignitas and Justice. Dignitas a little bit inconsistent. Justice on their way up. So because of that, I think both teams will meet in the middle. And this is actually only my second and final split of the week.
Dignitas for me is going to be the choice on this one. I think they underperformed last week. They know it themselves. They underestimated MiraDons to an extent. They won't do the same thing against Justice. And on top of that, they have to win these games. They can't fall down to the likes of Justice. No offense to Justice in that respect, but when you see the consistency of the last 2 seasons, Dignitas versus Justice, Dig has come out on top both times.
Yep. Moving on to the North American games for Saturday, though. Another big heavy hitter game. It's going to be Cloud9 versus Denial. Cloud9 taking a spill. But to be fair, it was against AFK. But really, I think the story here is Denial. They were able to take a game off Team Solo Mid. They've always seemed to have TSM's number, though, in these splits, especially maybe not in the clutch moments in the final week, but in the middle of the split, we're actually always seeing Denial able to take something off Team Solo Mid. And really, ShadowQ led that charge last week.
I mean, ShadowQ, for me, he played fantastically throughout the whole of those 2 games. He looked like he leads from the forefront as well. You can see where he's playing the Ares here. He was always in point, and his ultimates were perfectly on par.
Yeah, and ShadowQ was the reason that they won this game. He may not have been the only reason, but he was the primary one. He got very aggressive early. They were able to find a quick pick on Dionic, actually, at level 1 before minions even spawned. And ever since then, we've really saw ShadowQ continue to go. And there was actually a play during the middle of the game that we didn't catch too often, or the casters didn't take note of, but he actually kited the Gold Fury in a circle, and he had so much movement speed that he took only 300 damage. This was about 3 or 4 minutes into the game, so very high-level play coming out from ShadowQ.
That, to me, is the what ShadowQ really embodies. He is your innovator in not just the support role, but in general. When you see new things come out, a lot of times they're out of the camp of ShadowQ. When it comes to finding new strategies, always look towards him.
I mean, they put themselves in a top 4 position with just his first week. They established it up against TSM. Can they continue to keep that going? We'll see.
So as much as I've been talking about how good Denial's looking, I actually gave this a 2-0 to Cloud9. They had a rougher, or excuse me, I did go Denial.
Did you go Denial 2-0?
I thought I did Cloud9. I'm blaming Ray on this one. I'm pretty sure I did Cloud9, and if I did Denial, that was a mistake. But regardless of those picks, I think Cloud9, they had a rough week 1. I was actually talking to Mr. Mackey, not Mr. Makey, which I've improperly called him for a very long time, Mr. Mackey, and he said, we had a rough split, or a rough start to the season against AFK, and Baskin was repeatedly camped by Weekend. I don't think we're going to see the same pressure onto him, and I think we're going to see Baskin have a much better week 2, and I gave this one to Cloud9, regardless of Ray's graphics.
I feel the exact same way, Kevin Flip-Flopper Myers. I think that Cloud9 will take this 2-0 as well because of what you said. I think Baskin will be a little bit more comfortable. Cloud9 is coming out of that, for all of the plug-and-play that Omega has with Eager, Baskin is the opposite. He has a very different playstyle from Omega. I think 1 week is enough for a world championship team to adjust, and I expect Baskin to come out and play.
I went for Cloud9 as well. I mean, I think Denial performed fantastically last week, but everyone always says Denial has TSM's number. I don't know so much about Cloud9's.
Okay, moving on to the last game of Saturday. It's going to be Elevate versus Enemy. Another really, the Rookie Rumble.
The Rookie Rumble!
I actually really love that. I'm going to use that, the Rookie Rumble. So we have 3 new players coming into the split on Enemy, and we actually have 5 new players, never played in the SPL for Elevate. And Mytheria had a great game against Eager. I mean, they weren't able to find a win, but Mytheria really, it looked like we could have seen an upset because of his strong play.
Now, we're calling this the Rookie Rumble, but Mytheria is so close to anything but. Welcome to the SPL stage. For the first time, Mytheria is really seeing it, but as far as high-level Smite, he's no stranger. I mean, Mytheria has been around going back to the Silver Snakes, back when Coach Kret was a player, and even our very own analyst Adanas was a player back in the RG days. So Mytheria has been around for a number of times, and the question always has been, you know, how seriously will he take it? Well, it's the SPL. You're on the big stage. The loser of the split gets the $20,000 of shame. I think Mytheria, that question is gone for me.
I'll take
$20,000
of shame.
Well, especially after the performance last week. I mean, you can't put anyone to the wayside. Elevate as well for me. One of those teams that I predicted on Twitter this week that I don't see them coming bottom 2.
Right.
So for me to stand by that, I'm going to have to back them sometimes. This is probably going to be one of those games.
Yeah, taking a look, though, I gave this one a 1-to-1 split. And that's really how good Enemy did against Cognitive Gaming that put this forward, right? If Enemy had lost to Cog, I think I would have cleared this, gave it to Elevate, because they have a very strong roster that I think could be built up. But after Enemy, 12K gold down against Cognitive Gaming, able to take it back. Enemy's looking very strong. I think they're going to 1-1 this.
You know, I respect it. I really do. 12K gold deficit. There was an extra catalyst in the tank because of the little interpersonal relationship of Enemy and Cognitive Gaming. But what it comes down to is Enemy is a squad that was just recently put together by Pain to Beyond. Elevate, on the other hand, they've gone through 3 different names, 2 different sponsors, 7, 8 different weeks of Challenger Cup. The mesh, the gel is there. Enemy needs to keep working on it. I think all of the boons that Elevate has from being together for a long time will give them the 2-0.
I agree to an extent with what Fdot's saying there, but changing it slightly with the 50-50 split, I think the reason we saw Enemy do so well last time was because they were against a team that they had that extra reason to go out and prove that they were the better team. After all, against a team like Elevate, though, I expect this to go 1-1.
Okay.
Really do.
Moving forward to Sunday, though, we're actually going to have a pretty interesting matchup, I think. London Conspiracy versus Paradigm coming out there. And, you know, this one, it was interesting for me, right? The player swap coming out, Suntouch leaving, Soggy Sandal moving in, and he looked very strong, but it was against Justice.
It was against Justice. Don't put Justice down too much too soon, though, because a lot of people seem to be thinking it's the same roster from last split. I did mention it earlier, but it's a different roster now. 3 new members on the team, but let's talk about Soggy Sandal more on London Conspiracy side here. Had a fantastic performance this past week playing the Fenrir. He controlled the pace of the game for the most part. Did what he needed to do. I'm just concerned to see what the rest of his God pull is going to show us, because this could be a concern, because we only saw Fenrir this week, and it's only his first game in the Pro League.
Exactly. I'm not saying he's a one-god wonder, but Fenrir is a top ban. It will be banned. You're not going to be wasting a ban by taking him out. I think this player is great play. Horrible name. I want to see what happens if Fenrir is banned.
That's a great, what do you mean horrible name?
A Soggy Sandal.
Hey, come on, you know.
Hang on.
Hey, everyone's going to remember his name. Everyone remembers a Soggy Sandal, right? I'm not saying it's the best name, but it's unique enough that you're going to remember it.
Wiggles de Bay.
All right.
Okay, I gave this one 2-0 Paradigm, though. You know, London Conspiracy, they're looking good. But, you know, this is interesting because London Conspiracy have a doubleheader, so they're going to have a match earlier in the week. Depending on how good they do there, I might, you know, that's the advantage. You were talking about it, right? That's the advantage of watching from home.
I was saying this off air. It's like, you guys at home, we have to predict now, and you guys can watch the games on Thursday, Friday, and go, they're looking a lot better than we thought we did. I'm going to change my vote now. We have to do it today, so keep an eye on how things go through the first couple of days every single week, because that may sway your vote to how people's performances are.
I've got Paradigm 2-0, even if London Conspiracy looks stronger. I mean, Paradigm is Paradigm. They are a top team that falters in the beginning of the season. This might be a game to sort of get them back in the groove.
Could be I thought Paradigm too, but it could be a game they falter on again because they did it last season, as you just said. So don't be shocked. If you want to go really safe, go split. Well, you don't get points for split, do you? If one team wins them both.
Yeah,
Oh, well.
whatever.
Oh, well.
MiraDons versus Titans is going to be another Sunday matchup. And this one, MiraDons, there's still the question mark. You're saying that they're a train rolling forward.
I know, right?
I am so
You
excited.
are like all on board.
I absolutely love this MiraDons team. I think they are going to be one of the strongest teams. I mean, I've said it
How
so many
strong? How
times.
strong?
I think they're going to be very
Top
strong.
4 strong?
I think top 4 is a possibility.
So who's getting knocked out? Because there is a clear top 4 in Epsilon, Fnatic, Titan,
Listen, this
Paradigm.
is week
Which one of those 4 is getting dropped?
Listen, this is week 2. You're not going to wrap me up this early into cementing my picks. But what I'm saying is, MiraDons, they have a lot of play. Don't underestimate them just because they came
So
from the Challenger
I went
Cup.
to a Titan. What'd you go then?
I mean, look, like I said, I've said it a lot. I got faith in the French. You gotta trust in Titan.
Okay.
They're the number 1, 2 seed. You're one of the one of the number
MiraDons,
1 or
they're
2
the best.
teams.
Except when they face a good
It's
team.
Titan. I think MiraDons
guys
has to
are-
climb the ladder just
Oh,
a little
man.
bit.
You are like,
Trust in Titan.
you both do this. You're both like, yeah, I think this team's so good. They're the best team out of the other team.
It's different when
That's
it's
so bad.
Titan.
It's different when it's Titan. Okay.
I mean, they're Voltron.
So what about against Fnatic?
They're
You gonna vote for them against
Voltron? What?
Fnatic?
Wait, they're Voltron?
Yeah, Titan is one of the most cohesive 5-people teams, so I think they're Voltron.
All
MiraDons
right.
is strong, but
All right.
they'll have to earn a couple more
I
strikes.
don't know
before
where
say
the
they beat
Voltron
Titan.
reference is going, but Eager versus Team Solo Mid up next. This is your big heavy hitter North American game, and this is going to be. Every time I talk about Eager, I talk about, well, this is Eager's true test, but I mean, this is Eager's true test, right? Omega going to be facing up against Divios and really the summer finals winners. This is going to be a pretty big matchup for both of them. But I mean, Snoopy coming out of the summer finals, we talked about him earlier,
Right.
a huge heavy hitter now.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Eager, team of veterans, Zapman, Lazes, and Dare to Care, for what it's worth, has really cemented himself as being one of these top go-to look at junglers. He plays very, very strong. But whenever it comes to Eager, it's about the Hunter, it's about Zapman, and now it's Team Solo Mid Snoopy. This team, all 5 of them are fantastic. We talk so much about how strong they are individually, and Snoopy a lot of the times, unless he's playing something janky like Vulcan, gets overshadowed. Looking at his performance in the summer split and how he played last week, he's done. He's made a number of steps into the right direction. Snoopy versus Zapman, this is what I want to see.
Hold up a second, though, because last week nobody on TSM played well. I'm just going to throw that out there right
Sure.
now. Denial. That was the only destruction game I would ever say was done last week, was the destruction of TSM by Denial.
We don't ever really see a top team
No.
get that one-sidedly
Right.
beat.
No, and it
Ever.
was very one-sided. There wasn't signs of hope in that game at all for TSM, and those boys need to step up this week because Eager got shown the way.
Do you
Last
think
week
they
by
they just slacked off coming off of their summer
I
finals
have
win?
no clue what went on. That's not the standard TSM we've seen. Like TSM, they look great at LAN, so good. Coming out, 3rd seed, make it, win the LAN, and then what happens? They go back to the start now, okay, it's only Denial,
Something happened.
and get destroyed.
Something happened.
Taking a look, though, I actually gave this 2-0 to TSM. That's just based on history. TSM has always, historically beaten Eager, and really this team as a whole, ever since they were the name changers. And the replacement here for Omega for Anatoly, I feel like Divios has always won that matchup,
Sure.
so I just have to give it to TSM.
I'm with you. History says one thing, but it's a different team.
You will always give credit. You will always give a victory to Pern and Eager, no matter who they're facing, every single time.
And there's good reason there. I think that Eager,
Okay.
I think that Eager and Pernicus sort of share this situation where no matter what, they're always liable to
They
just
always have a chance.
pop off.
I'll give you that.
Lazes, I have never in my history of looking at Smite counted Lazes or Zapman out. You just can't. They're too volatile.
I'm going 50-50 this one as well because I think adding Omega to that solo lane as well for Eager, it should help tie things together a little bit more for them as well. Omega very adept at dealing with Devios. You don't really see either of those generally die in lane against each other.
Yep.
That should tie Devios down a little bit, and then it's up to the rest of the members just to do what they can. 50-50.
Okay, final match of the day, though. It's going to be COG versus AFK, and I'm going to make this one short. AFK 2-0 COG. Good, great on paper, not as strong in implementation.
Sure. I mean, I go AFK as well. Like, sure, Pernicus is always liable to pop off, but AFK is one of the, if not the top team in North America. Cognitive needs some time to get the grease on the wheels, the grease on the cogs. I wasn't even going in that direction. Give him some time. Maybe we'll readjust, but for right now, AFK 2-0.
Let's be clear, AFK gets to face off both those teams that faced each other last week. They both look pretty good in their own right, but AFK is definitely going to be stronger than both of them. And it's easy AFK decision.
All right, well, we had 1 week of action, and we actually have your alpha draft, top performers. So if you're looking to get into alpha draft, it's going to be your daily fantasy site for this upcoming week. Excuse me. Here's the players you should be looking at: Dardes, Lemogal, Kiki, Adapting, and Vicium. Is it Vicium?
It's Vicium.
All right,
it's Latin.
If it's
something.
Vetium or Vicium, please tweet me because we've been arguing about this
It's
for
from
like
the
the
horse's
past
mouth.
week.
It's Vicium. It's Latin for something.
But he could be trolling you. I would troll you.
I mean,
if you're like, how do you pronounce Adanas? Oh, it's Adanis.
To be fair, I've been
troll you.
trolled with Ataraxi's older brother and Matheria playing Xbox, so...
Yeah, and that's one person from every role. So this is your dream team. But you're going to have to watch their matchups too.
Look at that. 2 members, though, are from MiraDons, the side that got promoted.
Yeah, they're the
That's
top
pretty
two.
impressive. The top 2.
Faith in
are
the
from
French.
MiraDons. I can't do that because
Dude,
they've surrendered so many times.
Dardes has been... Everyone was talking about Dardes, and he's looking pretty good. Dardes looking pretty good.
Dardes is
the truth.
Kanye. Dardes is Kanye Life Jr. to me. It's gonna happen.
It's the truth.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for myself, Fdot and Hinduman for the Esports Weekly. Up next, though, it's going to be Incon, so stick around, guys. Make sure not to miss any of the twitching.